Alright guys, so I'm back once again with another deck profile from Cardfight Vanguard Deer Days on the Nintendo Switch. Today we got another Keter Sanctuary deck focused on Thegrea and her big honkin' booberinos, which of course played absolutely no role in my decision to play this deck. I play this deck for the articles. But anyway, titty jokes aside, this is version 1 of the deck, so it's going to include cards up through the first additional card pass, so through D Booster Set 7. And this is the first of our glitter decks, focused on units from the Craycross Epic web novel series. So this is really a fun deck. It focuses on riding back and forth between the two forms of Thegrea and getting Persona Ride power-ups for each one. So, like usual, we will go through the deck real fast, and then we'll do one fight with the deck to show it in action. So, first of all, we'll start with our ride deck. So, our grade 0 starter is Knight of Integrity Thegrea. So, standard D-Series starter when it's rode upon, if you win second, draw a card. Same effect that all the starters in D-Series have. And next, our grade 1 is Beneath the Brilliant Light Thegrea. So she's got an auto skill that says when this unit is rode upon by Harsh Training Thegrea, you can reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a grade 2 or less unit card, you may call it to rearguard circle as rest. So you get a free superior call if you want it. The call is optional, so if you reveal a trigger or something and you'd rather leave it on the top of your deck, you can leave it there. So it's nice that you're not forced to call it. And then her second ability is just the glitter ability. So this card is a glitter that seeks the fire regalies. That's just lore to do with the Craycross Epic story. This skill in and of itself actually doesn't do anything. It just gives this card the status of being a glitter, and there are other cards that only work if your Vanguard's a glitter. So yeah, that's all that does. So next, of course, our grade 2 is Harsh Training Thegrea. So she's got an auto skill when this unit is rode upon by a grade 3 with Thegrea in its card name. You can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Thegrea or Maple in its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And again, she is a glitter. So this lets you dig for your Thegreas or Maple, which is your rearguard glitter support card for this deck. Just useful in helping get some of your pieces that you need into your hand. And then our grade 3 is One Who Walks the Path of Light Thegrea. So this is Thegrea's light form. Again, she is a glitter, and she's got a continuous ability that says the normal ride from hand of a unit with Thegrea and its different card name from this unit on this unit also becomes a Persona Ride. So in simpler terms, what that means is you can ride Dark Thegrea on top of her, or any card with Thegrea in its name, and you'll still get the Persona Ride benefits even if it's a card with a different name. So that's the whole gimmick of the deck, is switching back and forth between light and dark, and you get the Persona Ride no matter what. So that's what that's there for. And then she also has an activate ability that says once per turn, you can counterblast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less unit card from among them, call it to rearguard circle, and shuffle your deck. And then if One Who Blooms in the Dark Thegrea is in your soul, you can choose up to 2 instead of 1. So this is a very Gold Paladin-esque superior call from top of deck skill. If you have Dark Thegrea in your soul already, you can get a +2 for a cost of counterblast 1. So pretty useful skill in building up your field. And then she also has an auto ability on Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if this unit was placed by riding from One Who Blooms in the Dark Thegrea this turn, you can discard a card from your hand to choose one of your rearguards and stand it. So this ability only works on the turns that you actually ride over Dark Thegrea. You can't just shove Dark Thegrea into the soul to get this. So that means this is going to be a turn 5 skill at the soonest. But it does let you restand one of your rearguards to get extra attack in. So very useful. So moving on to the main deck, we are running 3 additional copies of Light Thegrea. I do have the SP version just for aesthetic reasons. And then next, our other form of Thegrea is One Who Blooms in the Dark Thegrea. And she has the exact same continuous ability as Light Thegrea, where she gets the Persona Ride regardless of which form she's riding on. And then she has an activate ability once per turn. You can retire 2 of your grade 2 or less rear guards to choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. But if Light Thegrea is in your soul, you can retire all of your opponent's rear guard in the same column as that chosen unit. So Light Thegrea is always going to be in your soul, since you'll be riding this over top of her at turn 4 at the soonest. And it just lets you kill 2 of yours to kill 2 of theirs. So very Shadow Paladin-esque skill on this one. And then she has the auto ability. This is once per turn. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If this unit was placed by riding from Light Thegrea this turn, you can counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand to stand this unit, and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. So Dark Thegrea lets you restand herself as opposed to restanding one of your rear guards, but you do get a 4th attack in, and an extra drive check, just 1 for the 2nd attack. And then of course, once again, she has a glitter still. So, very cool, being able to switch back and forth between the 2 forms and restand either a rear guard or your Vanguard to get extra attacks. So, the only other grade 3 we're running is 4 copies of our set order Oath of Vengeance Thegrea. So, you can play this card if you have a Vanguard with Thegrea in its card name, which you always will. And while this card is in your order zone, if you have a Vanguard with Thegrea in its card name, when you Persona Ride, you draw 2 cards instead of 1, and your front row units get power plus 15,000 instead of plus 10. So this increases the potency of your Persona Ride ability in terms of both power and card advantage. And since this card does have Thegrea in its name, you can dig for it off of the grade 2 Thegrea skill. That is the only way to search this deck, or search this card rather. And of course that card only checks the top 5, so you do want to max out this card at 4 to increase the likelihood of actually getting a hold of it, because it's a very good skill that you do want to have. The way it's worded, it does not stack, so once you get one of them into your order zone, all the other ones are kind of dead draws. But you can just discard them for perfect guards or discard them for either form of Thegrea's restand skill, so it doesn't really become a problem. So that is all of our grade 3s. Moving on to our grade 2s, we are running 4 copies of Atrocious Moth Girl Maple. So she is our rear guard glitter, and she's also a dual nation card, being both Stoicheia and Keter Sanctuary. So she's got an auto ability when she's in the drop zone. When your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed during the ride phase, if you do not have a unit with Maple in its card name, you may call this card to rear guard circle. So she can revive herself from the drop every time you ride a grade 3. If you get this card early on, then you can drop her for your ride deck and then revive her later. Or during your Persona Ride turns, of course, she can revive herself from the drop. So it's an easy way to get a body onto the field. Very useful to have. You can keep intercepting her away. You can retire her for Dark Thegrea skill, and you can always just get her back the next turn. So, very useful card. And of course, she also has our Glitter skill, which is only active if you have a Vanguard that is a Glitter with Thegrea in its card name, which, again, you always will. So, at the end of the battle, this unit attacked, you can Soul Blast 1 or more cards to choose a card from your soul with the same grade as the sum of the grades of the card's Soul Blast for this cost, put into your hand, and put this unit into your soul. So the main point of that skill is to get the opposite Thegrea form out of your soul and back into your hand in order to ride it next turn if you don't have another copy. So that helps you keep your form switching going. I don't end up having to use that skill too often, but it is very nice to have the option there when you need it. So, yeah, overall, very useful card. So, next we are running 3 copies of Knight of Protective Spear Arthen. So he's got a continuous ability when he's on your front row rearguard circle. All of your rear guards with different card names from this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So, protection skill, if your opponent wants to retire stuff or bind stuff or whatever, they gotta get rid of him before they get moved to anybody else. And then he also has an auto ability when he's on rear guard circle when this unit attacks. If you Persona Road this turn, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So, this ability is not once per turn, and the power boost stays until the end phase. So, on the turns you Persona Ride Light Thegrea, you can actually attack with him, use that ability to gain 5, and then when you restand him and he attacks again, he'll gain an additional 5,000, which will stack on the boost from earlier. So that can be really useful during those turns. And then next for our last grade 2, we are running 3 copies of Divine Sister Longdesha. Again, I think I'm pronouncing that right, hopefully. So she's got continuous ability. If your soul has a grade 3 or greater card, this unit gets boost and power plus 5,000. So it's pretty easy to get the grade 3 in your soul with all your forms of Thegrea, Persona riding constantly. And since she gains boost, she can be 15k in the front, 15k in the back, wherever you need her to be, you can put her there and she can fill in that role. So pretty useful card with an easy condition to meet in this deck. So that's all of our grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s, we are running 3 copies of Diffuser Angel, which I ran this card in my Graham Grace deck as well, and I talked about it there. So the quick version is I'm running this instead of Drilling Angel because I can't stand Drilling Angel's art. Which is a stupid reason, but yeah, if you want to run Drilling Angel instead, he's objectively the better choice. So you could go with him, but I'm using this one. So when he's placed on rear guard circle, you can put a card from your hand into your soul to choose one of your Vanguards, and that unit and this unit get power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So the only use for this card is really just to get Dark Thegrea into your soul on turn 3. So Light Thegrea's superior call skill can give you 2 cards instead of 1. And that's really the only situation I use him in. He can give you extra soul, but most of the time you don't really need it in this deck. So yeah, he's mostly just there for that one situation. So next we're running 2 copies of Knight of Heavenly Piercing Assaulta. So she's got auto ability when this card is placed on rear guard circle or discarded from hand during your turn. You can choose one of your back row rear guards and stand it. So the main point of this card is to discard it off of Thegrea's restanding skill to either restand your Vanguard booster on Dark Thegrea turns or restand the rear guard behind the rear guard that you restand on Light Thegrea turns. So that gives you an entire column standing again so you can attack again at full power. The other slightly more niche use for this card is early game. If you discard it for your grade 2 ride, when you use your grade 1 Thegrea skill and superior call something at rest, if you call it to your back row circle and you discarded her, then you can immediately stand it to get a booster or an attacker that turn for free. Also, if you happen to reveal her off of your grade 1 Thegrea skill, you can just call her to back row rear guard and she can stand herself. So there's also a usefulness there. So then lastly for our grade 1s is just our Sentinels. So we are running 3 copies of Aegis Mayor Dragon, standard perfect guard. And then our 4th Sentinel is of course the 1 copy of our Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude. So you don't have to pay the cost if your opponent has triple drive. So anti-grade 4 deck, it can be free against those decks. And of course it can get around guard restrict or something since you don't have to call it to Guardian Circle, it's just a Blitz Order. So always a useful card. So then next we just have our grade 0s, which is our trigger lineup. So we are running 8 crit, 3 draw, 4 heal, and 1 over. So for our crit triggers, we're running 4 copies of Blade Feather Dragon, which is the effect crits. After it boosts, you can put into your soul and give someone plus 2k. That's another skill I don't really use very often. It's there if you need it, I guess, but I'm mostly just running this for the art. And then our other crits is Volition Rigger Dragon, so standard vanilla crit. And then for our draw triggers, we are running 3 copies of Protection Magic Pro Roby. So when she's on Guardian Circle, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets shield plus 5,000. So the 10k shield draw trigger, more shield is always a good thing, so definitely want to run that one. And then our heal triggers are 4 copies of Palpitation Angel. So vanilla heal, if you want to run the effects ones, you can. It's really just player preference. I prefer the consistency of these, so I went with these. And then lastly, our one over trigger is Light Dragon Deity of Honors Amartanoa. So his additional effect until end of turn, you also perform drive checks for the battles your rear guards attack. So you generally aren't going to call any grade 3s to rear guard in this deck if you can help it. So this is 2 additional checks under the best case scenario. But any extra checks is always a good thing. That's pluses to your hand and more chances for triggers. So always a good card. So that is the deck overall. We will go ahead and do one fight with it. Let's see, we'll face Megumi. Alright, we are going second. So we'll put some of these back. Actually, we'll put them back.
Stand up, Vanguard. Watashi no turn ne. Draw. Ride. Turn end. Watashi no turn. Draw.
Alright, so we will discard one of those set orders since we only need one.
Ride.
And now we use our starter skill to draw. And now we can just go ahead and attack. And we immediately pull an over trigger, which is actually wasted for the most part. Because we don't need the power and we don't have any rear guards. So, yeah. Oh well. We got a draw off of it at least. She actually got a good superior call and not a trigger or something. We'll let that one through. No trigger. And we'll let that one through too. And again, no trigger. And you know what? We'll guard with Maple because we can get her back later anyway. Not sure. We'll discard. Oh, Desha, I guess. So now we can use our grade 1 Thegrea skill. And that is a heal trigger, so we do not want to call that, so we'll just leave that on top. And we'll go ahead and attack. And now we'll get our heal, which we do get. So we'll heal Maple. She gets a draw trigger. And now she's superior calls a front trigger. I've been there with that deck. And we'll let that one through. She gets a front trigger.
ドライブチェック決まっていこうダメージチェック
No trigger for us.
マグノリアのスキル
And now she's gonna give one of our back row rear guards the ability to attack from the back row.
ヴァンガードにアタックスキル発動パワープラススキル発動パワープラス
And I think I'll let that one through too.
ダメージチェック
And still no trigger.
ヴァンガードに
Our damage triggers do not want to show up today.
パワープラス
Alright, so we're gonna block this one.
ガードヴァンガードにアタック
And that is ridiculously high, so I'm gonna have to let that through. I could use a perfect guard, but I'll save it for later.
被害甚大ダメージチェック
And again, no trigger.
ターンエンド私のターンドロー
Alright, so we'll discard Maple again
ライト盛況有利
to ride Light Thegrea. So now we'll use
能力
Harsh
発動
Training Thegrea skill to check the top 5. And we can add either one of those to our hand. We'll add Dark Thegrea. And now we'll trigger Maple
発動
in our drop zone. Now we can only revive one of these, not all three, but it's fine.
ステリオルコール
So we got our Maple back. So now we'll call Diffuser Angel.
コール
And we'll use his ability to shove Dark Thegrea into our
能
soul
力発動パワープラス
and power both of them up.
パワープラス
And we go ahead and put our set order down as well to set us up for next turn. And now we can use Thegrea's activate ability
能力発動
to Superior Call. And we get a whole lot of triggers. So I think we're actually only going to get to call the one. I could call one of those, but I'd just be taking a trigger out of my deck. So I'm just going to call the one Long de Sha,
ステリオルコール
whose ability is active since we got Dark Thegrea in our soul. So we'll go ahead and attack with Thegrea first.
攻撃ノーガードドライブチェッククリティカルトリガー
And we get a crit, nice. So we give the crit to our Vanguard and the power
クリティカルプラス
to Long de Sha.
パワープラスドライブチェック
No trigger.
一刀両断ダメージチェック
Alright, no damage trigger
ダ
on
メージ
that.
チェックやった
And ooh, she got a heal on that one. But she doesn't get it because we're at 4. So now we'll attack with Maple. And let's see. I'm gonna get rid of a rear guard actually.
ノーガード
And I'm gonna not use Maple's skill because I got a Dark Thegrea in my hand. And let's see. You know what? I'm gonna take a rear guard again actually.
ノーガード
Break her field apart because she's probably about to get a lot of attacks.
ターン終了私のターンドロー重角重点マグノリ
Yep,
アエルダ
she
ー
rides our grade 4.
マグノリアエルダーのスキルスペリオルコールコールだコールスキル発動パワープラスヴァンガードにアタックだスキル発動パワープラス
Alright, we just need 5 to block that, so we'll intercept with Maple since we can get her back next turn anyway.
インターセプト
And let's see. Whoa. Let's. Yeah, we'll guard that one. And we'll guard that one as well, actually. And guard again. And now let's see, if she gets a crit, I'm screwed either way, so I think I'm gonna let this one through. And nice, no triggers. Alright, so now we're going to use our perfect guard on this last one. And we will discard Light Thegrea. And now we will Persona Ride into Dark Thegrea. And use Maple Skill to revive her. And now we got 2 draws off of that. So I could use her retire skill, but I actually need the field more than the retires. So I'm gonna go ahead and call Long Desha to back row center. And now I will go ahead and attack with Thegrea first. And she perfect guards. There's one of our perfect guards, we might need that. So now we can use Dark Thegrea skill to counter blast and discard. We'll discard Assaulta. And now we'll restand and use Assaulta skill to restand Long Desha. And now we can attack at full power once again, with just 1 drive check though. And she perfect guards again. Alright. Another perfect guard. So now we'll attack with Long Desha. She gets a front trigger. And attack with Maple. And she intercepts most of her field away, so that's good, I guess. And let's see, I do not have a Light Thegrea in my hand, so I actually will use Maple skill to Soul Blast out Dark Thegrea. And then we'll add Light Thegrea to her hand. And she rode again to get that superior call from her soul. Alright, well she's only got 5 attacks, but I've only got 3 things to guard with, so that still might not end well. Let's intercept that one. Oh, she's gonna boost with that one, actually. Okay. Well, I'm gonna guard
Vanguard にアタック
And now we will perfect guard that.
能力発動
And we'll have to discard Dark Thegrea.
完全防御ドライブチェックドライブチェックドライブチェック
And again, she got no triggers.
ヴァンガードにアタックスキル発動パワープラス
Alright, so then we're gonna have to use our last perfect guard, but we don't have to discard because we only got one card in our hand.
能力発動完全
So
防
we
御
just barely survived that, but we do have our Persona ride ready to go. So let's see if we can pull this off. And this, I'm either gonna win right now or I'm gonna die. So I'm gonna go ahead and declare final turn. So let's Persona ride
ペルソナライト
into Light Thegrea. And revive Maple.
発動スペリオルコール
And now we'll call Arthur.
コール
And I'm gonna go ahead and activate her ability
能力
to Superior Call. And again, the only one worth calling is Assaulta. So we'll just plop her down right there. Which will trigger her ability, which we have to resolve, but it won't do anything because everybody's already standing. So now we shall attack. And we'll attack with Arthur first, and we're not gonna boost.
ヴァンガードを攻撃
And use his ability to give him 5,000 extra power.
パワープラス
And she dodges.
ゴード
So now we'll attack with our Vanguard.
攻撃
And she perfect guards.
スキル発動完全ガードドライブチェッククリティカルトリ
And we get a critical trigger. So I'm gonna give both those to Arthur, actually.
プラスパワープラスドライブチェッククリティカルトリ
And another critical trigger. Nice. So, you know what? Let's give those to Arthur too. Why not?
プラスパワープラス
So now we use the Thegrea's skill to discard one.
特別能力発動
And we can stand one of our rear guards. So we stand Arthur. And we attack with him again,
ヴァンガードを攻撃
which will trigger his skill again to give him another 5k,
発動
which will put him to 63,000, 3 critical.
ノーガー
And she can't block it.
ド
So we definitely got her right now.
ドロートリガー
Yeah, that draw doesn't help anything.
パワープラス
So we won, alright.
完全勝利
So that was kind of a come from behind win. We cut it pretty close with the guarding on that last turn, but we got her in the end. So yeah, that was our Thegrea deck. Really fun deck. And we'll be back soon with more deck profiles. I believe the next one up is our girl Bavsagra. So we'll be doing that one soon. So for now, I guess that's all for this video. So lots of luck to you and yours.